Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone, and today I want to talk about the new look Denver Nuggets. It feels like the dust has settled, they've kind of made their big moves, and they look like a terrifying force in the Western Conference. Last year, they already pushed the Thunder to 7 games in the second round despite dealing with injury, and now I think they've gotten a good bit better over the course of this summer. So let's talk about where this Nuggets team could go this season, what they could look like. Obviously, they still got the same general core. It's Nikola Jokic, it's Jamal Murray, and it's Aaron Gordon, alongside Christian Braun, who has really solidified himself now as a staple of this team. But now they swap out Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. They bring back Bruce Brown, who played a critical role in their championship a couple of years ago. They add Jonas Valanciunas as a backup big. Tim Hardaway Jr. comes in as a three-point shooter. They get rookie DaRon Holmes now in after last season was completely derailed with that injury during Summer League. They have new additions all across the board at a variety of positions that all are going to really impact this team. First up for Cam Johnson, I just like him a lot better in this Nugget system. It feels like he is a much safer, much more steady player. While Michael Porter Jr. might have these higher highs, I think the floor for Cam Johnson is a lot higher on most nights. Like last year during the playoffs, MPJ was dealing with a shoulder thing. Like I think people don't remember enough that he was dealing with a very, very real shoulder injury. I remember one of the games I was at for Game 7 in OKC against Denver. I saw him come out of the hotel and it was like the biggest shoulder wrap I've ever seen. Like he was legitimately hurt, but there have also just been moments in the playoffs where he just does not give the Nuggets enough. He's not as consistent as you might like him to be, whereas Cam Johnson, I think, is going to just continuously give them this really solid production. He's going to fit really well in the system as a better playmaker than Michael Porter Jr., a bit of a more well-rounded offensive player, I think, and is someone who's going to give them more on the defensive end, which is really what you need if you're the Denver Nuggets. That was your big issue a lot of last season, was that you couldn't really defend, and I think Cam Johnson is going to be a lot steadier on that end. Now, one thing that you do have to think about, though, is while Michael Porter Jr., it feels like he's always dealing with injury, Cam Johnson's actually been dealing with injury more than Michael Porter Jr. over the past couple of years, so you need to cross your fingers he can stay healthy. But I think now in an environment where he's going to be asked to do a lot less, that injury risk is going to drop quite a bit. And when he's out there on the court, I just think Cam Johnson makes things a lot steadier, a lot more fluid. He's going to be a seamless, perfect fit at the 3 spot in this Nugget system. I mean, last year he was already efficient, putting up some of the best numbers of his career with like nobody around him to support him in Brooklyn. Now he's going to be playing off the playmaking of one of the best to ever do it, Nikola Jokic. Then we talk about like Bruce Brown, who has not had the best couple of years since he left Denver. Injury issues also a real issue for him, but they're not counting on him to do too much. They need him to just be a decent enough guy off the bench, provide them some defense, knock down some outside shots, and the best year of his career was in Denver. And again, I think playing in this system off of Nikola Jokic is going to make his life so much easier if he can stay on the court. Jonas Valanciunas, I'll be honest, I don't love him all that much as a backup big for this team just because he's slow-footed, like he doesn't bring a lot on the defensive end like I think they needed, but offensively, he's by far the best option they've had behind Jokic in a really, really long time. And if you can get some good defensive production next to him whenever he's out there, then he's serviceable. And it's not like you're going to have him in for very much at all, especially when you get to the playoffs. Like Jokic is going to be playing 40 minutes. He's going to be out there like 8 minutes a night. So in that regard, I think he's perfectly fine. But honestly, I'm even more excited about DaRon Holmes off the bench for this Denver Nuggets team when I think about production. I loved him going into the draft. He's someone I would have loved to see Oklahoma City take, but instead he goes to Denver, deals again with that season-ending injury in Summer League last year. And now when he was playing Summer League, he looked really, really good. He was really fluid. He can put the ball on the deck a little bit. He can knock down outside shots. He can block shots. I think DaRon Holmes is going to be super underrated going into the season. And then by mid-year, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, that guy over there in Denver is so awesome. And when Jonas Valanciunas is off the team, whether it's in a year or two or whatever, I think DaRon Holmes is going to be so easily able to step into that consistent backup big role. In fact, I wouldn't even be shocked if by the time the playoffs roll around, it's DaRon Holmes getting all of those backup center minutes instead of Jonas Valanciunas. But DaRon can also play a little bit of 4 as well, so he gives you some versatility. Tim Hardaway Jr., after a great season with the Detroit Pistons, where he was just this constant high-volume three-point threat, which is something the Nuggets need. Last year, they're one of the best shooting teams in the league, but didn't put up a lot of threes. The volume was not nearly as high as it needed to be to keep up with some other teams in the West. And now you get a guy who in a playoff game could knock down 5-6 threes and swing it in your favor. And again, he's playing now in the best offensive system he's probably ever been in with the Denver Nuggets. So those are the big additions, but I mean, it still really does center around the guys who have been here for a while. Jokic just might have had the best season of his career, at least statistically, and he's at still dominant peak form. I think most people are going to say he is still the best player in the world. He's one of the best offensive players, if not the single best offensive player to ever play basketball. He can give you 40, 15, and 18 on any given night, a 60-point triple-double. It really doesn't matter. Jokic makes video game numbers look pedestrian. So having him on your team at any point is going to make you such a ridiculous threat, especially when you have him supported by Jamal Murray, who had his ups and downs last season, especially in the playoffs against Oklahoma City. But overall, he still is a really good threat to have. I would like if the Nuggets somehow had an all-star level player next to Jokic. He still never had one of those, but Jamal Murray is really right there kind of on that border. Just being in a Western Conference with so many great guards makes it hard for him to ever really make one of those teams. And when he hits his highs, they're incredibly high, higher than some of the other All-Stars in the Western Conference. Aaron Gordon, I think, was the Nuggets' second best player last season, gives them a lot defensively, took a big step offensively, especially shooting the three ball. He's going to have to showcase he can still do it at that high of a clip and that it wasn't a fluke year. But if that's the case, I mean, Aaron Gordon is easily, without question, one of the single most valuable role players in this sport. I saw firsthand what he did against my Thunder last year. 2 game winners in the playoffs. It just felt like he would literally never miss. Aaron Gordon is really, really good. To have him as like your 3rd or 4th best player on the team, depending on what you think about Cam Johnson and Jamal Murray. I mean, there's a world where he's, again, the 2nd best player on this team, and that's not even a bad thing because that's how effective he was for Denver last year. Christian Braun also took a big step forward. He was one of those most improved player type guys, got way better at attacking downhill, gave them a lot defensively. He's one of their best point of attack players. Just unbelievable when it comes to finishing around the rim, really athletic. Christian Braun is great. I think he's a great counter to some of the other stuff the Nuggets have going on where it's a little bit more slow and methodical with like a Jokic. Christian Braun is just nonstop energy left and right, going downhill. If you close out on a 3, which I do still think he needs to develop the 3-point shot. He's got to be more efficient on higher volume. I think that should be a big goal of his this season. But if you do contest that 3, then he is getting downhill and there's a 99% chance he's finishing some unbelievably absurd contested layup over one of your better paint defenders. Peyton Watson is a really fun defender who showed some nice flashes of offensive growth last year. I think we could see more of that. Julian Strawther had a couple of moments in the playoffs, and I think another year could be good for his development. Jalen Pickett gave them some moments. There's just a lot of fun talent on this Nuggets team now. They are deeper. They are still really, really good at the top. It's the 2nd best team in the Western Conference, if you ask me. I think there are 3 teams that are kind of in their own tier, where it's Oklahoma City, it's Denver, and then it's Houston. I lean Denver number 2. I know some people who might lean the Rockets number 2, or some people who might even say, hey, the Nuggets are number 1. And I mean, I'm a Thunder fan. I'm going to say the reigning champions with the Thunder, who are, going to get a lot of development, a lot of growth internally with such a young team, are the best team in the West. But if you're a Nuggets fan and you want to say the Nuggets are the best in the Western Conference, I'm not going to argue that too much because, I have my opinion, you have yours, but also because this Nuggets team is really, really good. And again, they gave the Thunder a really tough series last year. And I think David Adelman showed me a lot as a coach last season. I mean, he's got more playoff wins than he has regular season wins. And the way that he was able to win that coaching battle or just win the series in general against Tyronn Lue in the first round, the way that he was able to duel directly Mark Daigneault, who won Coach of the Year and is considered one of the best coaches in basketball, all while having just a few regular season head coaching games under his belt. It was extremely impressive. I think there was a lot to really like with David Adelman with this Nuggets team. And if they're NBA champions in 2026, I don't think anybody is surprised. There are still a couple of things you could be concerned about with this team. Like defensively, I still don't think they're the most stout, but they showed again against the Thunder in the second round that they can really level up defensively when they have to. Jamal Murray being your second best player. Like again, I still think someday you've got to get Jokic a real all-star second option. He should be fine, but he's not as good as some some of the other second options in the West, so maybe that's something you think about a little bit. You still are relying a little bit on some young players like, Peyton Watson to maybe step up, or Julian Strother, or Jalen Pickett. You're hoping that Bruce Brown can kind of get back to his old form. If not, and if he's not able to really stay on the court, then you do miss a little bit of that backup guard play that maybe like Russell Westbrook brought, who also brought you some bench playmaking, a little bit of defensive tenacity, some rim pressure. Like, there are some things that I think you can be worried about with this Nuggets team. Like, really with any basketball team, no team's perfect, but I think the Nuggets are one of the teams with the lowest amount of flaws. I've got to give this front office credit. There were reports at the beginning of the summer that the Nuggets might stand pat, that they might just kind of hang out with the group that they've got for the moment and see what they could do and maybe try to address it at the deadline. But no, they took some swings. They brought in some really helpful players. They swapped Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. And now I think pretty universally, everybody thinks they're one of the biggest winners of the offseason. And that does a lot for Nikola Jokic, the best player in your franchise history, one of the best to ever play the game. He could be a free agent coming up. You've got to convince him that, hey, Denver is still the place for you to compete. And I think they've done a pretty good job of at least putting themselves in the position to try and do that this upcoming season. So those are my thoughts on this Denver Nuggets team. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Where you rank them in your West right now, 1, 2, 3, maybe even lower than that. Is there anything you haven't liked about their offseason? What's been your favorite part? All that kind of stuff. I want to hear your thoughts on this new look Nuggets team. If you ask me, my prediction as of July 23rd would probably be Thunder and Nuggets grab the top 2 seeds, and they end up meeting up in the Western Conference Finals for a rematch of their 7-game series last year, which I think would be absolute cinema. So we'll see on that front, but for the moment, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I'll see y'all later. Take care. Real one, say back.